your wife, she was talking to a newly expectant mother, okay? Like, this was her first child, and so, like, she was asking about the birthing process, and she asked her if it was gonna be painful, and she was telling this story, and she's like, "Yeah, but when I was delivering, like, my firstborn, like, his head got stuck in, like, the birthing canal because it was big," or something like that, and it was the way that she had explained it, and I just started cracking up because I knew she was talking about Alex, and so from that moment, I called Alex Big Head. So Alex has been Big Head since he's, like, been 11 or 12 years old, and it just cracks me up when I think about it. I'm
You
sorry.
know, I'm glad I have good editing software because I hit record about 2 minutes before you started.
You I just asked if we were recording too.
Yeah, I think I might have hit record after you asked that. Not sure how that.
How long have we been recording? Crap.
Right when you started telling the story is when we started recording.
Okay, well, then that could be a good short about how Alex is big head. It's just
Lord.
Oh man.
it looks like
All
a bug
right.
on the screen. No, I'm sorry.
Here we
So
go.
so yeah. Welcome everybody to the Better Bitner Brad Chat podcast. Today we're here with Buddy Bagwell. We're going to talk to him about how military service impacted his family life and life inside, outside, all always side, everything involving living overseas as military personnel. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to the group here. Who wants to start?
So we're actually joined with Alex and Buddy because we have a very special theme this December. And we're trying to include our families and our loved ones. So we are looking to hopefully sit down with Jesse and his siblings. We'll sit down with me and my siblings, and maybe my mom if she wants to come on the show. And we're just going to make it about family and togetherness because that's really the important thing about the holidays. And if you've spent a lot of time in a DFAC, you already know how important family is because I would rather be with family than smell somebody else's boot socks, and I've smelled a lot of boot socks just in cafeterias. It's not pleasant. It's great while you're there, but you miss home. So absolutely we're gonna make it all about family. So I'm gonna turn it over to Alex. I'm gonna turn it over to Buddy. But y'all start, what service means to y'all, how y'all are service connected, and just what's y'all's story? What's it all mean to you?
Actually, I'm gonna turn it over to Daddy and let Daddy start.
Okay. So I finished photography school. I was a photographer. And one of the great things about being a photographer is you get to be very creative. Another thing about it is you don't make a lot of money. Uh, you might make $1,000 one week, and then the next 3 weeks you don't make anything. And I met this girl who kind of, turned my life upside down. And I knew I needed a steady income. So I joined the military. And I joined the military in 1982, and I served with the in Fort at Fort Bragg. And finally, I was medically discharged in 1988. And when I got out, I became a defense contractor. And as a defense contractor, I'm right with the military. One of the people saw me outside, and they're like, "Sergeant Bagwell, you've got a beard. Are you on leave?" I'm like, "No, I'm Buddy now." So I was, I'd stayed the same place. I worked the same place at Fort Bragg that I did when I was in the military. And a position came open in Germany, and we jumped on it because we knew that it was just a great opportunity. And so from 1982 on, we were in Germany. We were there for 22 years. And even though I'm a contractor, defense contractor, I'm still tied in with the military. They deploy, I deploy. When I would just started a new job, I was in Georgia doing all my in processing, and that was September the 11th. And I was at Fort Gordon. We were stationed in Germany, but I was at Fort Gordon taking care of some paperwork, and actually doing a system that was going to deploy. And I got a phone call and said, "Are you willing to deploy?" And I said, "Oh, yes." So I came back to Germany, back to my family, if you leave your family and you're in your state, you know you've got a support system. Well, when I left them, we were in Germany. Good thing is, in Germany, we had a great support system. You become family real quick there. And Alex, I'm sure Alex has told you guys, our house always had somebody staying over, some some issue at home or something, and our doors were always open. We work with youth in church, and so the doors were always open for anybody with a problem. But on the outside, you could see that I was not military. But when we were working in the community, we were part of the community. And while I was deployed, we had people back in the rear, which was B Germany, taking care of the family, looking after them, making sure that they had a ride if they needed it. And you become family. And I've used that word over and over, but you become family really quick there because you're all experiencing the same things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how close did you work with the Corps or the Army Corps of Engineers?
Actually, I worked with the military intelligence group, the 66 MI.
Okay.
And,
I
and
did you ever work with my dad? Because my dad was Edward Hiles, but he was, Army Corps of Engineers. He was USACE.
we bumped into each other. We did not really work together, but
Okay.
yes, we did bump into each other.
That was my daddy. I'm his guts. Um, that's just me. But no, he actually he passed away last December, and
I'm
it's
sorry to know that.
yeah, it's been really, really hard for all of us, but oh, he was a fighter. He absolutely was a fighter, and he did finally get his kidney transplant in 2004, and he actually had that kidney transplant all the way up until he passed, working perfectly. So, it was over 20 years, that kidney transplant was good, so it was
That is
he
good.
finally yeah, he finally retired from the Corps and everything else, and yeah, we lost him last year, so but that's cool you worked with my dad. So, yeah, now you can place me.
I have basically the same question. My dad was a defense logistics agency out of the Amelia Earhart building for a while, and then later the American Arms Hotel. You may have run in with him at some point, but yeah, he was always actually in the field out in like Democratic Republic of Congo, all over the Middle East, South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire, places like that. He'd be gone, for at least 30 days each time he went TDY. But
Yeah, I usually was not in the Middle East unless somebody was shooting at me. Uh, so I deployed to Kuwait. Well, I deployed to Saudi Arabia before we ever came to Germany. And then I deployed to Kuwait, and then I deployed to Iraq 4 times. So, but when my soldiers went, I went. I was there to help them set up. We would get everything going, do the mission, and then I would help them pack up, send them home. And then when the new unit came in, I helped them get set up, get operational, and then I would go back. And then about 3 weeks before they left, I'd go back to the Middle East and help this group pack up and send them away and take the new ones and help them set up. So I got to spend a lot of time there, and it was a really good experience. I mean, other than the fact they kept shooting missiles at us, but other than that, it was pretty good.
Yeah, two other people, and the only reason why I bring them up is because my grandfather, he was in the Navy, but then he became a coastie. He actually was in Alexandria when we were in Germany. And when he was in Alexandria, he was doing work on one of the ships that he was actually on when he fought in the Bay of Pigs. So he was working on the USS Shenandoah out there and repairing it and doing like all of the stuff. He's like, I got away from this ship and now I'm retiring to come back onto the ship to fix things that I fixed in like 1962. Like that's all we heard when he was in Egypt. But it was John William Hiles Sr., and they used to call him Shorty because he was short, but he was a lifetime military member, so you might have worked with him, and then if you ever were attached to the 101st at all, especially in the early '80s, George Mosier, that was my uncle. He fought in Saudi Arabia, Panama, and Desert Storm, so he was
Yep.
in all of that, so you might have run into him at some point in time.
He might have come through our facility, but yeah, I was in Riyadh during
Yeah.
that. And you talked to him about him going back to his ship. It's like going back to an old friend. You bled with it. You worked on it. You've had good times with it, and you've had bad times with it. So you get attached to those systems, and then you upgrade it, and then have to figure out what went wrong. So,
Oh, yeah.
but it never changes. We talk about the sacrifices we made when we were in the military, but the reality is, I got more back from the military than I ever gave myself. I mean, yes, I took chances, but those people that I were with, they were family too. I got a call one night at 12 o'clock from the States, and a guy was like, you should have been paying child support for all of us when we left because you were our daddy when we were there. But I was the old guy. I was an old sergeant, and I took care of them like they were my family, and that's how you do in the military, and that's how you become so much family when you're in this situation together. That's what your whole podcast is about.
Oh, absolutely.
What you
Would you
experience
would you like
together.
us to make you a shirt that says "Who's your daddy?" quotation with your name underneath it? We can do that for you.
Why, thank you.
Actually, Denny talking about soldiers and everything. Growing up with Daddy working on the computer systems and everything, Daddy would get rung up at like 2, 3 in the morning when something happened. And finally, like everybody like in the house just pretty much learned the word. Just tell them to reboot it and everything. And I was up late on the computer one night. Daddy gets a phone call. I answer the phone, and because me and Daddy sound so similar on the phone, they just start talking to me about all this. And I'm like, "Did you try to reboot it?" They're like, "We'll call you back." Then they call me. They call back, and then I pick up the phone again, and then they started talking about stuff. I was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 hold up! Let me go get Buddy because I don't know if I'm supposed to be hearing this."
The one thing I remember, and we were all overseas during this time, but during Y2K, okay? Now, during Y2K, my dad, he was so frustrated at everybody, like, he just like, at my dad, because he was the computer specialist, and so when, you know, I was asking my dad, "Well, why is everybody panicking? Like, what is this whole entire thing about Y2K?" And so what he was explaining to me, he's like, "Well," he's like, "the issue's not what everybody thinks. It's not the end of the world. It's a digital system going to or like an analog system going into like a digital clock." And so he explained like the programming and everything to me, how like everything worked. And so after he explained all of those things, he's like, "And you see, the thing about it, what we are uncertain of at this time is that if there's going to be just a momentary power shortage that could potentially cause satellites to fall from the sky and possibly hurt people, that's what we're trying to avoid right now." And I'm like, "Oh, like that's why everybody's on edge." I'm like, "Okay, daddy, whatever you're doing, cool."
Well, we saw that year come in. We were in Paris as a family
Yeah.
on a bus tour, and the tour guide assured me that he would have me back by 6 o'clock the next morning. And we had some people who were 3 hours late getting back. We ended up leaving them in Paris, and they stopped on the Autobahn. They took the exit for my work. I got off the bus there. A coworker picked me up. They took the rest of the group home, and so we went into work to reboot the computers and make sure everything was working. But that was how we went through Y2K, is just taking those precautions. But it was nice in Paris. It was crowded, but
Actually, we went through Y2K trying to chase down illegal black market food.
yes, we did. Because everything was full. We couldn't find a place to eat to save our lives. And there was this little guy cooking out on the side of the road, and we were chasing him, and he was running because the gendarmes were after him. It's like,
He also probably didn't understand why you were running after him.
Oh, he knew we were
It's like,
running after him for food, but he
Because it wasn't just us. There was like a line of people trying to chase this guy down for food too.
okay. That's almost like the Chicken Man in Grafenwehr. I've actually seen people chase down his truck, like, when it's going down the road. It's like you see the rotisserie chickens and you see a line of people running after it. I can see that in my head.
Oh yeah, the Hinton man,
Yeah, the
the
Hinton
same,
Man.
like the one that used to pull up to the high school all the time.
Yep.
Yep.
Man, speaking of food, that's the one thing, like, since I've moved to Canada, and I know I've probably gone off on this tangent several times on the podcast already, but, like, I got to the airport in Calgary, and I was really hungry. It was actually my 2nd day in Calgary because I had a layover for a night, and I'm like, "I'm just gonna go get some hash browns from the A&W," right there in the food court in the airport. So I go up there, get my hash brown, I bite into it, and I actually taste potato, not grease and salt. And I was like, "Oh, man, we're back in business." And and then the raptor burst through the wall, and Mr. Arnold's arm fell onto my shoulder, and then I ran. But luckily, Dr. Grant was there, and we found the kids, and we escaped the island. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm in a bit of a mood for levity today. Sorry.
Hey, it is okay. It has been a strange day for, I
It
think,
really
everybody
has.
here. But on the flip side, everything we said we were going to do so far, we have set out and we have done. So we've accomplished some things today. So we should be proud of ourselves. So congratulations, guys. Pat yourselves on the back.
But yeah, that was the thing. Like, moving to Japan, I got to try a lot of interesting food. Germany, I'd never had Greek food in my life. And the first thing that we had when we got there is we went to the walk plots in Wiesbaden, and there was a guy with a food truck, and I had my first gyro there. It was amazing. And that's the thing, is there are all kinds of little street food carts and stuff like that you'd come across, like going around Frankfurt, places like that. And I mean, even in the train station, they'd have like a little kiosk with like these little baked pizza bread things with the
God,
green
I miss
red
that
peppers
so
Yeah.
and
much.
stuff in them.
Brunabaka. Brunabaka.
Yep.
The best. But so, buddy, the one thing, so you have a little bit of a different perspective, okay? Only because you've worked it all. You've served. Were you a military brat growing up, or
I was not. No.
no? So that was your first experience with service. So
Yeah.
what were some of the hardest things for you when you were transitioning between each stage of your career, so to
I'll
say?
I'll be honest. When I graduated from basic training, I was more proud than I was when I graduated from college, because with basic training, it was mental, it was physical, emotional, and again, that same camaraderie. It
Yeah.
was it became family, and we left. I left Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. We went to Fort Huachuca, and my wife and I got married on a Thursday, and we hopped in the car on Saturday and drove to Fort Huachuca for AIT. And my training, and I was an imagery analyst. I was somebody who actually read aerial photographs. And that's really what got me my contractor's job, because I was doing that. But again, photography was my background, and the imagery analyst just kind of made sense. But two newlyweds, my 19-year-old bride and I, headed to Fort Huachuca, living in a former motel that had been turned into apartments, and in school and a PFC, making PFC salary. But it was probably one of the happiest times of our marriage, even though we had nothing. We would be able to buy 2 donuts, and we would, on Friday night, we would go get 2 donuts and then drive around the desert and look at the animals as it's getting dark. That was our entertainment. But then when the class would actually come over to our place. We took the crisper out of the refrigerator, cooked up a big batch of spaghetti, put it in the crisper, and then had everybody in my class over to the house, because I was the only one living off base. And so we all just became the central point for my class.
Yeah.
And again, and I can't use the word family enough, but the friends we had back then, we still have them now. They're still our close friends.
Oh, yeah. You have to make family wherever you can find it. Home kinda becomes where you lay your hat, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
And I am an only child. Didn't have the brothers and sisters thing, so it was just me in there.
yeah.
But occasionally you will hear about his brother or his cousin.
I always told stories, called them Buddy's parables, so that I would tell the story, and a lot of them included my brother, and the kids are listening to it, and I do pretty good at telling stories, and then when they would look so sad at the end, and Kim would like, he's an only child, right? And they're, oh, buddy, they would throw things at me, but so
It's okay, though. Kids are mean. They used to throw rocks at me, if it makes you feel any better. Although I was a little verbal and witty, and we're not gonna go into that story because that involves the first time I ever got in trouble publicly, or at school. So let's not tell that story. But, yeah.
Yeah,
So
family is like the central theme of my entire time in Germany, and I didn't even realize it at the time because I was a dumb kid. But one thing that I like about doing this podcast is the more that we reconnect with people, the more I realize that people actually kind of like me. And I was struggling with early onset of a chronic mental illness, and I thought everybody hated me, and nothing could have been further from the truth. And it's just amazing because I was a little rough around the edges. Well, I was abrasive, let's be honest. And
Right.
well, yeah, I mean,
we were all a little abrasive. Apparently, Alex just flat out said, "Well, Amber, it's not necessarily that people didn't like you. You were just cold, and we never knew what to say to you because you were just going to tell us whatever was on your mind."
No, no, that's not even close to what I said. I said,
That's what I
I,
took from it, and that was the polite way. So I am avoiding the language you used.
look,
Uh,
we're using, almost, look, my sister had the same thing I said going through high school. I mean, my sister always had fuck off going across her head.
that just I had stuff going on, okay? I had a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. So I didn't walk your dogs. I think I walked Matt Luke's dogs.
No, we
I
didn't have
walked
dogs up
Mike's
until I
dog.
left Germany.
Huh?
We didn't have a dog up till I left Germany.
Okay.
I put my foot down. Yeah. And then my daughter came back from college, and she was going to finish school in Germany and then move back to the States. And the next thing I know, she and her mom are getting together looking at bloodhounds. And she said, "Well, Dad, when I get back to the States, I'll need a dog to protect me." Yeah. No, no, no. But yes, yes, yes. And she got engaged, and her fiance didn't care for the dog.
Oh.
The dog didn't care for her fiance. So when they got married, we inherited the dog, and he was a bloodhound, and all that goes with it.
I don't know. I have always had a dog. I've always had a dog. Even in Germany, we had a dog. We had Sandy for the longest time, and then when we came back, that's when we got the bloodhound. So we also had well, he was a red bone hound. Pretty much the same thing, right? And so, yeah, we had a lot of dogs. I have 2 now. I've got a basset hound. She's actually the one that bruised my face because she's got the short nubby legs, and so I was picking her up to, like, put her onto the couch, and she decided she was gonna sling her head back. Well, when she slung her head back, they have that top knot, in the part of their head. Hit me right here, like, on the cheekbone. Like, this is still a huge hard knot. My whole entire cheek has been, like, purple for about a week. It was just bad. And I'm like, "Oh my word, that I have never been smacked in the face by a dog like this, that that's done that." So, it's like, wow. I don't know.
Yeah, I was telling them the story. I don't know if Jesse was there, but I was telling Amber the story about the dirt dauber.
Well, I walked into Food Lion in South Carolina with my grandma, and I told the cashier that my grandma beat me. She kinda looked at me funny, and then I had to explain what had happened to my face because everybody's been looking at me like, "My God." I'm like, "It's not what you think." Like, I'm okay.
Yeah, Amber stayed here when we went to go get food and everything while she was here. I was gonna ask her to go to the store with us, but I got to thinking, I was like, I'm not going to Ingles with Amber and her face bruised because then I'm gonna get questioned.
Oh, no, I would draw attention to you too, buddy.
Well, on top of that, my aunt works there, and so it'd get back to my mom, and it would be like, what are you doing beating people? Like, I didn't beat nobody.
You know, I convinced my entire family that my mother loved Conway Twitty. My mother hates Conway Twitty.
So does mine.
She's always hated Conway Twitty. I posted, like, one time, and it was, like, in 2003 or something like that, you know, "Hey, everybody, please share Conway Twitty with my mom. She's his #1 fan." Well, then all of my family members, they thought that my mom was his #1 fan, so they started sending her all of this stuff, and she's like, "Amberly," every time. And
And
so
now you
every
got the bruise.
Oh, yeah, every once in a while, I'll just ask him, I'll be like, "Mom's feeling really down lately. Can everybody just send her some Conway Twitty stuff to for Christmas?" She calls me cussing me. It's funny. It's funny to
Man,
me.
speaking of Conway Twitty, I have to send you guys a meme now. Somebody took Kanye West and put Conway Twitty's hair on his head, and it says Kanye Twitty,
Did you know that there was a Twitty City?
a Twitty city.
Yes.
Yes,
Itty bitty Twitty
I
committee.
bought my mom the commemorative plate on eBay one Christmas because she's his #1 fan.
So I guess we have to conspire now to expose your mom to as much Conway Twitty as possible. We'll be the itty bitty Twitty committee, is what we'll.
Oh my God.
I really like that. That's neat.
I got to go. My phone is going dead. I need to go grab a charger.
All right.
Nope.
You're good.
Okay.
This is nothing unusual.
No, and see, now we're doing this on a Tuesday. We can edit like stuff out now. So if you need to smoke. I'm about
I
to
was
be.
about to.
Okay, I'm gonna
Cool.
cut here for a sec.
Yep.